Hello and welcome to Leeds United latest here on the West Yorkshire Football Show channel with myself, Stephen Browney, and joining me as ever to discuss everything to do with the Whites. It is, of course, Mr. Jason Booker. Jason, how are we doing, my friend?
Very well, my friend, very well. Enjoying Leeds United right now, so everything's brilliant. Yeah, looking forward to the weekend.
What is happening? What is this Leeds United of 2026? Yeah, what is going on? 2 defeats in 14, potentially a little FA Cup run as well. Myself and Jay, we didn't manage to get together, busy schedules and whatnot, post Birmingham. So we're going to get our thoughts out about that, talk about some of the emergencies of, fringe players not quite cutting it. Maybe a second chance for Perri redemption happening, possibly. We'll wait and see. We're going to talk about the FA Cup in general as well and Leeds' progression in that. And also we're going to look ahead, of course, to a huge game at the weekend against Aston Villa. 12 Premier League games left. And we're going to look at our survival chances and those upcoming fixtures as well. Please do smash a like on the video, get your comments in, and please do subscribe to the channel as well. So I missed the Birmingham game, full disclosure. I have managed to catch up with some extended highlights. Not to say that there were so many Leeds United highlights from that game, particularly first half. But Jay, I mean, your thoughts kind of overall before we kind of get into the nitty-gritty of it. I mean, it's FA Cup progression. Does it matter how we played or anything like that? The only thing that matters is we were in the draw.
I'm not so sure it does matter at all, to be honest. I think, especially with a lot of squad rotation, you go away from home against a club and a team that have got the tails up. Birmingham have got a lot to kind of celebrate at the minute, the way that they're kind of conducting themselves since the change of ownership. Relegation to League One might have been the best thing possible for Birmingham, the way that they've reset, within another season, maybe this season, maybe another 2 or 3, they'll be back in the Premier League with the way that they kind of are throwing it at it. I know that Tom Wagner's been poorly. I think he's been diagnosed with cancer recently. I saw that. So hopefully he gets well. But I know he's rediscovered a bit of a flame at Birmingham. And St Andrews can be a place. I've been there a couple of times myself. And, they were able to win a cup the last time that they were in the Premier League as well. They've got a bit about them. They're a pretty big club, really. They're maybe, they're not as big as Aston Villa. Excuse me. But they are a sizable club. And you could hear the atmosphere, you could hear the expectation. We had to go there and deal with all that. There isn't a huge amount between us in terms of position, if you think about it. Yes, we've developed and progressed into what I feel at the minute is a really stable Premier League club right now. But in terms of the league table, there's maybe 10 positions between us. Yeah. If you branch over the 2 divisions. Like I say, away from home, it's always going to be tricky. So I think we navigated it quite well. We had to hold in there. On the day, not to talk about too many individual performances just yet, but we had a keeper that kept us in the game when we needed to. That's why you pay 15 million quid for a goalkeeper, to hopefully do that. We also had a lot of players within that team that would look good at Championship level, but don't at Premier League. So I'm really happy with how it went about. It were a massive banana skin. We navigated it really well. Unfortunately, we had to go to extra time. I think really in the first half they deserved it. Second half, I thought we deserved it. I thought, if we'd have kind of seen that through, it'd have been a perfect performance. But we didn't. We had to do it the way that we did it. Overall, really content, mate. Really content with it.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel very Leeds United-y, does it really? Because I kind of trying to get updates whilst I was out, and it became clear that Leeds were kind of under pressure a bit first half, but then we score and you're thinking, oh, okay, but then Birmingham get an equaliser, it's going to penalties. We remember the Sheffield Wednesday game at the start of the season, and maybe that's a sign of where the club is in general and the squad and the confidence at this time.
Yeah, they couldn't have been any different. The penalties against Sheffield Wednesday were horrendous, and I think we missed them all. If I'm thinking right, I think we missed 3 from 3, and we didn't put a foot wrong. And there were a catalogue of players that you could have looked at to potentially end up throwing one out, if you like. Joe Perreault barely had a shot on goal this season. Brilliant penalty. Brendan Aronson stepping up for the number 3. took it with aplomb. There were plenty that could have gone wrong in what we were doing. Longstaff, I remember in the Sheffield Wednesday, I'm sure he missed it badly. I think he missed the last one, blazed it over. He scored the winner. So yeah, mate, you're right. It didn't feel very like Leeds United. It felt so much like Leeds United that we'd have gone and lost on penalties. I mean, I can't even think about the times that we've won on penalties. When I mentioned it in the group, we beat Fulham 5 years ago in the Carling Cup, I think it was, League Cup, 6-5 down at their place. But that's the only time I can kind of have a conscious memory of us winning a penalty shootout. We are just notoriously terrible at them. So yeah, it was really nice to get through. Really, really nice to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's kind of look at the other side of the coin then, because obviously what became clear from just even reading updates on, how people on X were reacting, and obviously that's not always the best gauge of how players are performing. Facundo, Buonanotte. I mean, it was stinker and hooked, really. I mean, I've seen the highlights. I think there's compilations out there, and it just didn't happen for him, Jay. And it is difficult in a way. I can appreciate you go into a championship side where they're not going to be frightened to be physical and get in your face, put the pressure on, and you've got that energy at their ground as well, like you mentioned at the start. They can create a really good atmosphere. But where do you lie on the Buonanotte kind of side of this? Because I mean, I think you said very early on that we might not see too much of him going to the end of the season, and from what we've seen at the weekend, obviously you don't want to write anyone off. And look, he's not played that much this season. But it's almost like, listen, whatever tiny little opportunity you get, you've got to really kind of grab the ball by the horns. And when he took him off, when he took him off at half time, I mean, wow. I mean, it says a lot. But what did you make of his performance, and how this could potentially impact things for him going forward?
It was an absolute stink fest, mate. It really was. I mean, me and Lou kind of described it together in the group as it looked like a competition winner. And that, I don't think he's being over top or overzealous, being dramatic or anything. I genuinely think that's what it looked like. I thought it was an absolute stinker of a performance. There were an argument that it could have been pulled off after 20, 25 minutes. It was really, really poor. He looks unfit. I'm going to say this with inverted commas. I think he looks overweight. I think he looks a bit fat. Like for a footballer, I'm not talking for me and you. I think he does. I think he looks a little bit chunky around here. And yeah, I mean, you can only give an observation. He looks slow, ponderous when he's on the ball, when he's off the ball. I personally don't hold any sort of sympathy towards like this match sharpness thing. I really don't. Like, I think they train. These players are high-level athletes. They train every day to be ready to go and play at the top level. Technically, if you're good enough, the fitness side of it and the sharpness should be ready from training games. And don't get me wrong, I understand that there's a difference, and then it takes a level up to blow off that ring rust. It's similar to a boxer. Boxers, they have a little bit of this kind of ring rust thing when they've been out of the ring 12 months, whatever. Do you think that they don't have elite level sparring to make sure that they're as prepared as possible for the night? Like, some fighters only fight once a year. The same goes for the footballers. Like, they should be ready. And, this defence has been put at Ao Tanaka and has been put at Willie Gnonto, but then Ilya Gruev doesn't get the same kind of grace. Yeah, Ilya Gruev was just expected to come in and just hit the ground running, which is what he did. You know what I mean? So I just don't buy it all. I think some adjustment to the leagues can be real. Jacobiol's a great example of that. Takes him a bit of time to adjust, and he comes back in and he's staking his claim as probably the best centre back that we've got right now. That's not match sharpness. That's different. Yeah, learning a team that's, and I understand that some of that applies to Buonanotte as well. But this is a lad that's played a lot of games for his age at Premier League level, whether at Brighton and Leicester. And then, he's played 9 times. I think he started 9 games for Chelsea this season. You're not telling me that he's just not been doing anything. It's down to his application that he wasn't ready to even look on par with Birmingham City. at the weekend. I don't think it's defendable at all. I called it from the 5-minute cameo on his debut.
Yeah.
And I instantly worried about the way that he was moving around the pitch. And I was very, I know that it was harsh kind of calling him out after 5 or 10 minutes, and I said as much. The performance then against Fulham looked the same, and then this performance looked even worse. For me, I can't even. I mean, you've seen the compilation that you mentioned there. The amount of times that he gave the ball away, slack in his first touch, his decision making was poor. The way that he's covered the ground was poor. I mean, people compared him with Brendan Aronson beforehand in terms of defensive work rate. It's literally miles and miles and miles apart. So yeah, it's likely to be a bit of an experiment that's not going to really proceed to anything, in my opinion.
I mean, the shame of it as well, a little bit, Jay, is if we'd have got him in the summer, and if he'd have had, James Justin amount of time, not necessarily playing week in, week out, but just being up to the standards and what Farke expects in training, he could have maybe possibly then at this stage made a real impact like James Justin has. It was interesting. I was watching a bit of Eddie Gray on Sam Allardyce's podcast, Tippy Tapping, talking about, and he gave particular praise to Daniel Farke about the fitness side. And I think that's a really kind of underappreciated factor of Farke's time at Leeds, is how fit and how much running and work the players get through. So Gnonto coming in, and like you say, if he's a bit overweight, if he's carrying a bit extra, you can't have it. I mean, really, it's 12 games left. If we have a cup run, couple more in the games in the FA Cup, you struggle to see where he's going to really impact things. He might now look, obviously, potentially an injury to Walker for Dan James. Unfortunately, didn't make it. That was disappointing to see. A back injury. He's got Dan James. We don't know what's happening with Dan. It looks like it's going to be one of those seasons for Dan, unfortunately. But you do wonder where Gnonto, if at all, is going to be able to make any impact now going forward, because you can't perform like that. They can't, especially in the relegation battle like where you can't have any passengers. You can't have anyone who's dropping stinkers.
Well, you can't, and I mean, Sean Longstaff's a great example of this. Like, technically, he's a little bit limited. I've been back and forward with my opinions of Longstaff. I thought he had a really poor first half, but I thought he really grew into the game and he had a much better second half. His experience and whatnot is going to carry him through. But at the same time, his fitness levels and his desire and determination to help us get over the line is so much more invaluable than Gnonto cruising around for 45 minutes and having one potential moment of brilliance, which we've yet to see. You know what I mean? I mean, the game changed completely when Calvert-Lewin and Brendan Aronson came on. If anybody ever needed a proof of the level difference, when Brendan came on, I mean, he was brilliant. He was really, really good, especially before it went to extra time. He was completely dictating the game. It brought the pace back of the game towards us rather than the opposition dictating. And that's how key he is. I think you're right, mate. I can't see with 12 games to go how he makes that much of an impact. I just don't see how he'll get the game time, the fitness level. Maybe he'll prove us wrong and he'll be able to come up with them. Maybe it's just a moment or two off the bench where he'll be able to provide an X factor where we need a point or we need a winner and we get it. Maybe there is that in him. He's definitely technically he's very gifted, and I know Brighton fans think a lot of him. A lot of them that I've seen on Twitter have been really shocked by this kind of reaction from the Leeds fans. But it is where he's at right now.
Yeah, and it's funny as well about certain players get more grace time than others. You can imagine if Brendan had ever put in a performance like that this season, it would still be talked about. It was fascinating to watch some kind of content creators bend over backwards, not to mention Gnonto, for example. I mean, where was Gnonto at the weekend? Where was, he
could have been up to half time as well, Brownie. It could have been up to half time. It wasn't as bad as Gnonto, but it was really, really bad as well. I mean, there were three, and I said this to you at the time. Tanaka, Gnonto, and Gnonto were the three that were probably most under the spotlight to see a performance, and all three of them were really, really poor. Really poor. Tanaka included.
But I mean, Tanaka, he dominated the Championship last year. He was absolutely fantastic. He was one of the pillars of last season for Leeds United. And he's playing a Championship team. You kind of almost want him to kind of find that form again. But what's going on there? I mean, surely we can expect more. And I agree with you completely. I've heard this match sharpness thing, and I even seen fans saying, Farke should have been using these players more recently during this great run to keep up their match sharpness. It's like we've lost 2 in 14. What are you talking about? Yeah. Like, why would you want to change anything about that just to give Tanaka and Gnonto more minutes? But I'm like, at this stage of the season, lads, it's FA Cup. Surely we can get to higher levels. What is going on with these two? Because especially Tanaka, I mean, you just think he was so nailed down in the team last year. And out of him and Gruev, the one you would have thought who had more potential to step up by a mile would have been Tanaka than Gruev. Yet it's the other way around.
How can you justify playing somebody that's playing poorly to give them this sharpness that they apparently need? Like, if we'd have lost or not won the game at Fulham, or whatever, lost a game that we've drawn, you'd be smashing Farke. You wouldn't be smashing Tanaka or smashing Gnonto or smashing Buonanotte. You'd be smashing the manager. The manager's doing what's best for the team. And right now, it's not playing these players that we're talking about. That's the reality. Like, you can't have this middle ground where you kind of then, especially when you're in a relegation battle, you can help a player maybe come back into the sharpness that you want if you're a team that's in the top 10 that's overachieving. You can't do that when you're us. You need players to be absolutely on it. And they're not. I mean, Tanaka wasn't on his own. He was playing in a midfield 3 with Longstaff and Buonanotte in that first half that also were really, really poor. But you still then have the moments where you do things right or not. And Tanaka's decision-making, when it was nothing to do with the players around him at the weekend, were very reminiscent of what we've seen that me and you have complained about anyway in the Premier League. And it's on him.
Yeah.
Before a ball was kicked, we both said there's a reason that Tanaka's not played in the top flight. We're seeing it. That's all that it is. Technically, great footballer. If you were to have him on your 5-a-side team, you'd be cooking. You'd be so happy because, I mean, his spatial awareness and stuff is brilliant. But at high level, when he's got other high-level players around him, up here, he's found wanting. It's that simple. And that is why Daniel Farke doesn't trust him. And it's why Daniel Farke trusts Ilya Gruev. Because as limited as Ilya Gruev is technically, he does the right things nearly all the time. That's the difference. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it? A 98% pass completion by Gruev in the previous game, so it tells you everything. And the icing on the cake, obviously, Jay, was Ramazani's goal at the weekend. I mean, look, unbelievable goal, by the way. But I had to laugh. There was someone who tweeted it out, and it was like, see, he should have been playing in this Leeds team last season. I almost wanted to tweet back, if we'd have had Ramazani, we might have finished top on 100 points. Oh, no, wait, we did that already. It's like we didn't do anything wrong by not playing this guy. I mean, that's probably the first thing he's done all season. I mean,
it's his second goal all season in 17 appearances, and his other one were a penalty. He has had injuries, but he always has injuries. He had injuries when he was with us. And no matter how much you want to make it a reality, Manor Solomon was the best player in the division from January onwards. You can't rewrite these narratives, and again, he's exactly the same as this conversation that we're having right now. Ramazani was given opportunities and stunk him. I remember Derby away, he was given a start on the left wing and you could have taken him off after 30 minutes. It was awful. Yeah. And he then barely got another start after that. I think he had another injury and then he had to make do with minutes off the bench. But it's like Al Tanaka was an out-and-out starter. He's lost his place. He started this season. I remember me and you talking about how great it was against Everton. I think it was him, Stack and Ampadu in that opening game, and we were like, that's his midfield 3.
Yeah.
And he's lost the place. Not Daniel Farke, he started him. Mateo Joseph did it last season, at the beginning of last season. He lost the position. This season, one of his favourites, Joe Perreault, started the season as the number 9. He's lost the position. It's not a favourite thing. Ilya Gruev started this season as a backup midfield option, and he has earned the place.
Absolutely. Thanks for your comments, guys. If you can smash a like on the video. John, welcome along, mate. Tanaka looks low on confidence, but the team has to come before individual players. Gav, TP and G will obviously be sold come June. Tanaka, Perri and Gnonto, I'm guessing.
Gnonto, yeah. Just on Gnonto, we said this before. I've said that a lot already. 20 minutes of this show, but just to kind of validate the fact that we know what we're on about from time to time. Not all the time. I don't get it right all the time. But we've been saying for 2 years, 3 years maybe even, that Willie Gnonto's not what people think he is.
No.
And he's not. He's not. And that's the biggest problem with Willie Gnonto. He came into the side when we were so desperate. We had no shining lights. We had no optimism. Willie Gnonto came in after the Bamba Dieng fiasco, was given an opportunity and was a little bit of a shining light. And he had 5 good games. I think it was around 5. The Man United away, 2-2, and a couple of others. The back end, we've mentioned this before, the back end of that season, Sam Allardyce said, how can the manager not play Willie Gnonto? I'm going to play him every game. That is what he said. He were on that show, and he said about Abbey Gracia, and then like 3 days later, he got the job. He started him away at
Man City or something.
Man City. We lost 4-1. He had a stinker. Willie Gnonto didn't play again. He didn't start another game. So Sam Allardyce had come on and said that, and then didn't start him. He then fell as third option behind Rutter, James, and Somerville.
Yeah.
He lost his place to Dan James several times in that first season. The second season, he got another set of opportunities and fell behind Manor Solomon and Dan James again. Dan James improved his levels even higher. And now this season, he's still not able to stake a claim. And that's because he's just not that good.
Yeah, well, and also there's this kind of label against Farke that some fans have, that he doesn't like flair players, or those type of players. And I if you look at Somerville played practically every game for us that season, first year in the Championship, and look at what Somerville has done since in a really in a struggling team. He's setting the world alight. If West Ham go down, Somerville's getting a move to a top 100%. Team. No doubt about it.
And now, it's because of him.
Absolutely, 100%. Rutter got a good move to Brighton. Yes, it's not really working out for him at Brighton at the moment, but it's not really working out for any of them at Brighton at the moment, particularly. They're not on a great run. But, they've got big moves. Gnonto, we've had, Everton rumours for a little bit, maybe going back to Italy a little bit. You're right. He's just not done it. I think that image we have of him scoring at Old Trafford, in one of his early appearances, it still kind of burns bright in a lot of fans' minds, thinking, why, this guy could do it week in, week out. He couldn't. I mean, do you remember the start of this season when Gnonto had a couple of starts and we were like tearing his hair out at how the lack of creativity, how we looked like we're never going to score a goal at the start of this season. And he was there, he was playing.
100%. And Noah Okafor, as frustrating he is, but the levels between them two are absolutely massive in terms of what they give us. I mean, I don't get it. I think you're right. I think the idea of Willie Gnonto in a lot of fans' minds is way better than his actual ability. I just don't think they're even close. I think the reputation is what brought Everton to the table with that 30 million quid. You have to remember as well, especially then, he was very young still, and he is still very young. He has got development time, but I don't see it coming at the top level. I just not in the Premier League. I think the Premier League's too physical for him. I don't think he's intelligent enough. I don't think he opens up space well enough. I don't think he's good enough going to the byline on his left foot when he plays on the left wing. I think he's good at striking the ball with the left foot off the right wing. At goal, we've seen a few of them kind of goals going when he can do that off the left side, but I don't think he's got that variation. I don't think he's quick enough.
No,
I think over 2 or 3 yards is all right, but I don't think he pulls away like Dan James does. So he's not got that about his game. I just think he's limited. I feel hard, like I do.
Well, I feel like he's one of them wonder kids on Football Manager, and you see him at 18, you go, look at the stats, look at the dribbling, look at the finishing rating, but then, he's 22, 23 all of a sudden, and the stats haven't increased. He's like just stayed at that level, and I can't believe how much he's not developed. I mean,
Yeah.
really, the Championship should have been a playground for Willie Gnonto. If he was what we think he, should be, we would have thought he, the Championship was there for him. 46 games, 2 seasons. Surely he would have grasped that.
I think reputationally though, it comes with this wonder kid tag because he played for Italy at 17, 18 or whatever. There's a reason he were bombed out of Italy and he were playing his football in Switzerland. There were a reason then that he had to come to a struggling Leeds United on deadline day as a second option. And sometimes great transfers can come on the back of them. You can get fortunate with them, but the reality is he just is what he is. There's a good footballer in there, but in terms of what the level is, I think that we've seen several wingers come through the doors at Leeds over the last 3 years that are better than him.
Yeah.
If we'd have kept Manor Solomon in the summer and sold Willie Gnonto, I wouldn't have been upset at all. I really, really wouldn't, even regardless of the age and the injuries. He'd have given us so much more.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. John raises an interesting one as well. Does Gnonto need a loan to see if he can improve with regular football? Do you think, you look at this summer, you go, well, if Gnonto leaves, ideally you get a fee, but I don't know who's going to be banging the door down for him, really.
No. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because he's already kind of gone past that point of loan for development because he's been around the first team for so long. It's not like a Harry Gray as an example. When you develop him through and then he's already been exposed to so much first team football, you've probably seen as much development as you're going to get. I don't know. It's a real tricky one. I would hope that we might still be able to command some sort of reputable fee from somebody maybe in Italy, and we move. We won't get as much as what we would have done on relegation, but that was more because of the unknown. So, I remember saying to you, I'd have taken it at the time.
Yeah,
I would have done. I'd have taken the 30 million at the time.
Yeah.
I would have. And I'm not just smashing and hating on him. I'm really not. I would love him to develop, but you have to base it on what's in front of you. And we have not seen any development from Willie Gnonto over 3 years. Zero.
No. Barry's here defending, saying Gnonto is only young, but as Gav says, he's 22 though. Like you say, where is he on that development curve? One issue, and 30 million offer was there by all accounts. And Gav raises an interesting one here. Joseph going down with Mallorca. Mallorca are in the bottom 3 in the league, and we'll be lucky to get 2 million for him now. Should have taken that 10 million in it. Leeds going to have to learn here, Jay, that you're gonna have to. If you get decent offers for players, you're going to have to start taking it because, what is going to happen with Matteo Joseph? It's a bit of a stinker again, isn't it? If he's at a relegated team in the league, this was supposed to be his big move. Obviously, he threw up a strop as well. It wasn't just the fact that, he's gone out on loan. He was refusing to train, wasn't he? He kicked up a fuss about that. So there's not exactly a good feeling around him. Like Gav says, we did get that offer in the January as well, but yeah, it remains to be seen what happens. But it's another one, isn't it, where it's like, what the hell do we do with Joseph in the summer?
I think the one with Joseph is a little bit tricky because you don't have that many natural, really good number 9s that come through, and especially in terms of the ones that you develop yourself. And if you get it right with Matteo Joseph, they will have been looking at him and thinking 25, 30, 35, 40 million quid. Not 10, and 10 is neither here nor there really, in modern day kind of finances. So I see both sides of this. Personally, I got it massively wrong with Matteo Joseph, and we've all got it wrong with Matteo Joseph. At 21 level, he looked incredible in pre-season friendlies. At the beginning of last season, he looked unreal. I put a bet on at the beginning of last season for him to be top scorer in the division. He scored twice. I got it bang wrong. I thought he was going to be the man up front. I was so impressed with what he delivered in pre-season. Not just his finishing, but it was his movement. He's a big lad. He was good in the air. He was really good in and around the 6-yard box. Clever. At first team level, I just don't think he has the composure. I don't think it's that's come yet. It's up here. We all remember the Burnley miss, and it weren't just a Burnley miss. There were several really poor performances that then saw Perri being the main man as a 9, and he never lost a position again. Somebody put earlier about it being a meritocracy. It's 100% a meritocracy, and we've seen that time and time again. He earned the position during pre-season. he started the season and he lost it. It's as simple as that, and he never earned it back. You know, we said time and time again he looked crap when he came off the bench, not just quality, but work rate and ethic. So I just don't think Mateo Josep's it. No. And, you know, yeah, maybe we could have taken 10 million, but I understand the club's position from that as to why they didn't. You know, you're also balancing as well when you come up to the Premier League, the likelihood that the manager may fail, you sack him, and then some of these players do have a position within the squad. So it's a tricky one. It's a really, really tricky one.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. Talking of strikers, Perri then against Birmingham, what did you make of him, and where does Perri stand in all of this? Because difficult one, isn't it? Really, I mean, I got it wrong with Perri. I hoped he'd be able to kind of bridge that gap to the Premier League a little bit. You know, we all remember he won the bleep test and everything in the summer. You thought, oh, he's getting himself into shape, and he strikes me as Perri as a really good character in terms of not kicking up a fuss, and you know, he's always shown a desire to stay at Leeds and prove himself and be a Premier League player, and you've got to respect that. But where is it going with Perri? Because, you know, it strikes me, I mean, in the summer we'll probably do business up front again, and it's probably in his best interest to leave, but, you know, where's the offer going to come from? What's Perri going to do? And, you know, it'll be an interesting one to see what happens.
It won't be here after the summer, that's all, as long as we're in the Premier League. You know, I think there is a world in which there's some reservation from the club to sell him on the cheap or sell him cheaper when we could be back in the Championship, and it'd be perfect. I do think that is probably part of the thinking. I also think the other side of it is if Joe Perri wanted to move in January, we would have seen a move, but he didn't. He's backing himself to try and earn that spot, which you have to say is his right, you know, and respect to that. Like, too often we slam players for not having loyalty when the big offer comes and and all the rest of it. Well, it can't just work one way.
Yeah.
This is a contract between player and club, and the player wants to stay. And he's not going to kick up a fuss. You've seen that he's got great attitude. He's always appeared to have really good attitude. You mentioned the summer there with the bleep test and all the rest of it. He started this season as the 9. I don't think it was ever realistic that he was going to really be the main number 9. But I did think that we might be able to work a way in which would see him get chances at Premier League level. Unfortunately, we're just not. We're playing far more direct, which just doesn't suit him whatsoever. It doesn't suit Mecha either, by the way. We can talk about him in a bit, but the different players. You know, I can't believe that Joel Perri didn't start the game at the weekend, if I'm honest. I think it's unfair for him, and I think he would have been better being given this sharpness that we want to talk about than Buonanotte, personally. But I understand that Buonanotte has different qualities that the club want to try and make available for us by getting him up to speed and getting him fit or whatever. But yeah, to see him not start the weekend was really odd, I thought, given the landscape of the players and how many minutes they're getting. And like I say, I just think he always seems like such a good egg. He's still really putting it in. So he, as long as we stay up, he will move on, and he will get, I'm sure, a good move either to the top of Holland. I think that'd suit him perfectly, a PSV or, you know, somewhere like that, or back to the top end of the Championship with maybe Burnley or whoever else goes down. You know, you can imagine if West Ham go down as an example, that'd make a lot of sense for one season. Wolves are another good example. So yeah, interesting one. I was a bit felt a bit sorry for him, to be honest.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, how it turns in football? I mean, the main man last year and Championship top scorer, and then you make that leap, and it's a different ball game. You mentioned Mecha there as well, got another fantastic goal, and he's got quite a catalogue of goals this season, hasn't he? He's got some really good strikes on him. But you kind of hinted at maybe his general play and how he is in that kind of, it's like Dominic Calvert-Lewin light, isn't it? It's kind of, he kind of does bits, but it's not the same, and he's obviously not up to Calvert-Lewin's quality in terms of that role. But yeah, what did you make of Mecha in general? And look, I mean, a free transfer, and he's got himself another goal, and a fine goal at that.
I really like him. Yeah. I really like him as an option, but he's not a replacement for Calvert-Lewin. I mean, the last two games have frustrated the hell out of me. The Chelsea game was just really, really difficult for him. And then this one was just equally as bad. I mean, we were getting bullied by Birmingham centre-backs. He couldn't win a flick on. He couldn't hold the ball up, really. He wasn't linking other players into play. The second Calvert-Lewin came on, it changed. The ball was going beyond him then because he was winning them seconds and he was putting himself in. It's what Calvert-Lewin's really good at. We know he likes that. So he's not a replacement. For me, Mecha has to play alongside Calvert-Lewin or he just doesn't play.
Yeah.
And the difference with him and Perri is Mecha's a bit more athletic and he'll find himself into them half pockets of space where he can get a strike off like he did the weekend. It was a great finish. Yeah. And he will keep on going. He believes in himself. I really like the fact that he was so cool and composed against Chelsea with the penalty. Them moments make a huge difference. That is what you pay decent wages for, even though he's a free transfer. You know what I mean? So that's why he's still at Premier League level. But yeah, he for me, I don't know what we do. If Calvert-Lewin were to drop down for the rest of the season, I don't know what we do. I have no solution because he's not playing Mecha up front on his own, in my opinion.
No.
I'd rather have Okafor up there.
Yeah.
And that's pushing it. I think
that scares me as well. Like watching Okafor against Chelsea up front on his own, it was like, oh my God. It's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, DCL just makes sense of like this position, and oh God, that will be absolutely terrifying. I mean, the thing with Mecha as well, I really like him as a bench option. I thought, when he came on against Fulham and he bags the winner, brilliant finish, and he has that in his locker, doesn't he? Where he can impact a game, even if generally maybe it's not always up to top quality.
He's a great second striker. Yeah. Arguably the two best performances that we've had have been with Mecha up front, and the best of them lot were Chelsea at home. And him and Calvert-Lewin cause all sorts of problems because Mecha's very clever at playing off that big man. He knows where to be. That's what he wants to do. That's what he's good at. So I've got no problem with Mecha starting games, but it's got to be alongside Calvert-Lewin. It can't be instead of him.
No.
And not on the left. Don't put him on the left.
No, please, not that again. Some of the positives as well. I mean, a big talking point, Lucas Perri. Fantastic performance. The save, wow, just absolutely top draw. Kept us in the game. Made a save in the penalty shootout as well. Fantastic save there. Is this the start of the redemption? Could he get that number 1 jersey back? Could he potentially get his place in the team back after that? Because I mean that's a huge moment for him. You've been under pressure, you've lost your place, the manager's publicly criticised you. It's difficult, really difficult for him, but he's come back and he's not shown nerves. And look, if he can get back into that team, I mean, his ceiling is so much higher than Darlow's, isn't it, in terms of what he's able to do and provide. It feels like there's that quality there, but it's obviously there's a few issues that have arisen with him. How do you see it panning out for him now? Is this the start of a possible way back into the starting lineup? Hopefully,
mate. I mean, he was man of the match for me. Especially during 90 minutes during normal time, I thought he was excellent. I don't think he put a foot wrong, really. There were maybe one corner where people, if they'd been hypercritical, would have picked faults, but I thought he was pretty strong in them. I thought he came and collected well. I mean, he made it weren't just a big save. He made 2 or 3 really good saves. I think he saves the goal that ends up going in. If Justin doesn't get the flick on it, I mean, it was a huge deflection, in my opinion. He saves it. He looked comfortable. He looked really strong. I thought his kicking was fine. People are so over the top on his kicking. It's weird to me. Keepers are going to play him out of play from time to time when they're constantly punting the ball towards one man up front. They're just there. But I've said this before, they definitely are more serviceable for the striker than Darlow's are. Darlow's are too flat. And the save that he makes, Darlow's not going anywhere near that. It's literally a world-class save. You could be talking save of the year kind of stuff because of the way that it kind of dips and it's coming over. It's the stretch of the top arm to get it there, and it tips it onto the post. It's a world-class save. And he spoke really well at the end of the game.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's fine. And it were a bit of a pressure moment for him. He needed to have a good game, and he had one. I put him back in, and I put him back in before Forest, personally.
Gav says he's pleased for Perri. If he doesn't kind of start against Villa, then, I mean, what happens from there? Do you think? Because then that seems to be Farke kind of, right, I'm backing Darlow going forward here. And the games are running out as well. And he's probably got, I mean, if he can't wrestle back his first team spot, it'll be fascinating to see what we do in the summer, because I'm not sure they'll go again with Perri for the new season, potentially. Although I do think I would love it to work for Perri, because I think it would be so nice to not have to think about signing a keeper in the summer and wasting more money on a keeper, if that position's boxed off. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
They're gonna need to see that between now and the end of the season, because I do think they'll go for another keeper if they don't. But I agree with you. You don't really want to have to be spending 30 million of a budget on James Trafford, which would be a bit of a gamble, let's just say, I'm just using him as an example, when you've already got a potential 30 to 40 million pound goalkeeper in your ranks. You just need to see it come out of them. He is a top keeper. He has got a good reputation throughout Europe. He has displayed already in a Leeds shirt that he's capable. So it would make far more sense for us to get the performances out of him that we need. I'd really like to see him back in. I don't, even though you might have your preference, even if I'm right or you're, somebody else that thinks Darlow's better is right, there isn't that much difference between them to warrant this cut out. Like Darlow's not. He's not a level above Perri. Nobody can tell me that. Even if you think Darlow's marginally better, he's not a different level to Perri. I don't think there's a world in which you can say he's better, if I'm honest. I really don't. I don't think we've ever seen anything from Darlow that makes me think, he's a top keeper. I think he's a safe pair of hands. He's a backup goalkeeper.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens there after that performance. But I'm glad for him anyway that he's kind of
good for us.
Put some positivity forward. Well, through to the next round of the FA Cup, and it's Norwich. We've been drawn against Championship Norwich at home, Jay. I mean, if we win this one, we're in the quarter-final of the FA Cup. I mean, the last time we reached the quarter-final of the FA Cup, I think someone in the chat will, correct me if I'm wrong, against Wolves in the Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank days, where we had Wolves in the quarter-final at home and we missed a penalty. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank missed a penalty and we ended up going out. And that's as close as we've been for, you're probably talking 25 years or whatever it is.
Probably more than that, mate.
God, a quarter-final, to get to a quarter-final of an FA Cup. The first couple of rounds, I'm like, see what happens. I'm not too focused on it. It's good run out for the Fringe players. But when it starts to get to this, Norwich at home, Jay, the fifth round, it's not a gimme, obviously. We've got to turn up and do a job, but it's very heavily weighed in our favour. There's not many better ties that we could have picked than that, really. Mansfield, obviously, but, apart from that, it's a really good tie for us.
Well, the funny thing is as well, with like a Mansfield or whatever, they become even more of a banana skin, don't they? So there's an argument to say that the bottom end Championship team is actually a little bit better, because as a Premier League team, you don't take your eye off the ball too much for them. So we can't wish to have had a better draw, really, especially at home after so many away draws. To get a home tie is actually really, really nice. I think it's a great opportunity. I am not by any stretch of the imagination in the. I'm just going to let Marty go out under now. Sorry about that. 1 second.
Nobody's go for it.
Sorry, that wasn't. That was just bad timing. My missus just came in at the wrong time. I'm. Where we're at? Train of thought. I'm not by means in this camp that says that this is more important than Premier League survival, and maybe we can talk about that for a couple of minutes. Did a video on this myself the other day, and I feel so strongly about this. It's untrue. As much as I'm desperate to win a cup, It's mental to me to think of a different direction where the only thing that matters is Premier League survival. But when you then have an opportunity to get through to a quarter-final like we do here, you start looking at the potential of winning things, which is what we are in the game for. So you have to find a fine balance between making sure that the results don't get affected in the Premier League, rotating your squad, and then winning these games, especially if we get through this Norwich tie. Because once you're in the quarterfinals, you are 2 games away from a final. Absolutely. And you have to take that seriously.
And it doesn't swamp your schedule, does it? It's not like Europe. It's not playing in Europe, is it? And, normally you get like a dedicated weekend anyway, so, hopefully it wouldn't swamp it. Fascinating debate. Let us know in the chat as well. Would you take Leeds winning the FA Cup if it meant them getting relegated from the Premier League? If you're offering me Premier League or FA Cup win, I'm absolutely picking Premier League safety. But I think I'm more sympathetic to that viewpoint than you, I'm guessing by your video. I still want Premier League survival first and foremost, but playing devil's advocate, if you, for example, talk to Leicester fans, and they might be playing in League One, but what would Leicester fans say? Right, would you prefer to still be in the Premier League now, but you didn't win the Premier League, you didn't win the FA Cup, but you're still in the Premier League now, or you won the Premier League, you won the FA Cup, but you're going to be in League One in 2026. I think they would still want to have won the Premier League and FA Cup. Now, you could say Premier League's to win a Premier League, yes.
A bit different.
It's much more than an FA Cup. I do appreciate that. But I am sympathetic to the viewpoint that, look, even if we stay up, there's no guarantee that it means anything other than more Premier League survival year in, year out. I mean, the way the game is, I mean, the trophies are just not shared around, are they? It's so hard. So I do understand why maybe it's fans of a certain generation. I don't know. They want to, look, there's a chance for glory. You've just got to grab it because you might never get that day again, ever. It doesn't matter if you're a Premier League team for 50 years, you might not get that chance again. I do understand that. And I saw your video as well, really good video. And what we've been through as a club, doldrums for so long, we have got more chance of sustained success, challenging year in, year out by building from a base where we are a Premier League team. We get the income, we get the revenue, and we build and we build and we build. Because I mean, I want Leeds to be in a position where, you're thinking, oh, League Cup, FA Cup, Europe, it might be a Conference League, we might, where you're challenging on those fronts. Like, Villa fans now are getting restless. They want to win, so they want to kind of take advantage of how good they are at the moment in this purple patch. But, I do understand, I mean, can you imagine winning something, Jay? Jesus, I mean, it's just bonkers.
I get it, Brownie. I get it. But I think it's very short-termism. I think it's a bit selfish, if I'm honest. That's, just me talking straight. I think it's a bit selfish. I want my kids and their grandkids to be able to see a successful Leeds United year on, year out. I don't want to be thinking about just winning the FA Cup because we've got to the quarterfinal this year. I want to think about every season when we start in August. Could we challenge for an FA Cup this year? Can we challenge for the League Cup this year? As you say, can we challenge for a Conference or a Europa League? I don't want that to just be a random selection because we're a big club that's got the potential to have that sort of hope and expectation every single year. Now, obviously, it's a little bit of what's the word? A situation which we find ourselves in. It's a make-believe, right? Would you pick relegation if it meant that you win an FA? But it's not, because Wigan have done this, Portsmouth have done this, and we've done it. Yeah, we did it not with winning an FA Cup, but we did it with challenging for Europe. We put the eggs in the basket financially.
The League Cup, they won the League Cup, didn't they? And got relegated.
And they ended up down in League One. And we've been there. I remember how miserable that was. I remember getting 18,000 at Ellen Road. I remember, I went to every single, the year that we got minus 15 points in League One, I went to every single game, home and away. Right. And don't get me wrong, I had some great times, but it's miserable. Like the players that you're watching on a week-to-week basis, the teams that you're watching as an opposition, joining the FA Cup at the first round, all these kind of things that people forget. They really forget just how bad it can be. And the idea of just, oh yeah, give me that one day in the sun and win a cup, and then have all that misery for all them fans, for all them generations, is just mental to me. I understand. I want to win it so badly as well. Like, I really do. I would love to win an FA Cup. Of course I would.
Yeah.
You know, it's the best domestic cup competition in the world. And we've not won it since 1972, and we've won it once in its whole history. I hear it. But especially with the modern day game, to be able to sacrifice Premier League football and the money and the luxuries and the players that you watch on a week-to-week basis for just that one cup, I don't fathom it.
Yeah, I do get it. You do make some great points. Gav, Premier League always the must. Edwin, love the way Jay talks. We'll get subscribed to Jay's other channel as well, Straight Talking Leeds Fan, for more Leeds content on there as well. Yeah, it's fascinating. Do you know what? And also, I mean, I was listening to a really good podcast, and they were talking about the chase for Europe Leeds had that led to the financial crash, and it was people gambling. You know, they were gambling future revenue of qualifying in the Champions League every year, and they were chasing the dream. You know, we all remember that. We chased the dream, and man, we suffered more than I think any club has ever suffered from a kind of financial burnout doing a Leeds. You know, it's got its own phrase. And you're right. I mean, it was just pure doldrums for 16 years until Marcelo Bielsa walked in that door. It was basically, just dead. There was just nothing. And like you said, look, there's always great moments, the promotions and beating Man United, there's great moments in it. But generally, our football club should be so much more. We should be a Premier League team. We should be competing on fronts. I look at Aston Villa, Aston Villa are a great kind of comparison and what they've done over the last few years under Emery and the financial backing they have. It's like, that's what I want to see our club doing. And I feel we do have that potential to do it. And it doesn't help if we end up back in the Championship. We could be Burnley. We could be yo-yoing, right, we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. And
I just say this. We kind of take for granted the things that we have won as well. I would argue, and I'm being dead serious when I say this, I would argue that it's harder to win the Championship than it is to win the FA Cup or League Cup.
Well, it's 46 games, isn't it? So it's pure
46 games over a season. You we're talking about being in a quarter-final of an FA Cup, right? And we've not even touched a Premier League opponent.
No, exactly.
So let's just say we get...
That's a great point.
Let's say we get to the quarter-final and Wrexham have beaten Chelsea and we get Wrexham at home, right? So let's say we beat Wrexham. We could very feasibly be in the semi-final of an FA Cup and have played two Premier League teams to win it, right? Yeah. So you have to try and take yourself out of this lens of celebrate the things that you have won. Yeah. We've won 2 championships.
Yeah.
The second division, arguably the 6th best division in the world, twice over the last 5 years.
Yeah. Well,
we poo-poo it. We gloss over it because it's not a big one.
Well, do you remember the feeling when that run when we got back up from League One? It was like year in, year out of the Championship, and I don't know about you, but I just felt we had just a million. I could not see a way how we would ever win the Championship or even get promoted. It just felt out of our reach completely, and then you've got Norwich signing all your players and you're like, oh God, we're Norwich's feeder club. I mean, it's brutal, absolutely brutal.
People forget now, they've got very, very short-term memories as football fans. We're all guilty of it from time to time, recency bias and all the rest of it, but yeah, you're absolutely spot. At best, we flirted with the playoffs, right? Every season we went into the season with an outside expectation that this season we're going to be different, and it weren't. We finished averagely between 10th and 16th pretty much every season, from Simon Grayson's first year where we finished 7th to Thomas Christensen having us up there for a bit and then us dropping off until Bielsa. That was it for 10 years. 10 years and a bit, So, yeah. I think people just need to have a real stark conversation with themselves when they're talking about how okay it would be to go back to the Championship.
No, exactly. I mean, I remember, in the build up to the last relegation, and you and I, we were just kind of pulling his hair out because people were saying relegation's the reset we need. It's like, no, we don't need a relegation reset. Believe me, it's a nightmare down there. I mean, talking about the club in general, I mean, hopefully we're in a positive, good place. There's a short interview doing the rounds with 49ers CEO and Leeds United co-owner Jed York, saying there's definitely going to be more investment in Leeds United to come. And it's actually interesting. Rangers flying in the league, 2 points behind Hearts now, who they beat. I mean, it could turn out to be quite a season for the 49ers. If Leeds United stay up, let's say we have a little cheeky cup run as well, and Rangers win the league, I mean, that'll point to owners who know what they're doing. And look, how much can you read into what these people say? We know about the marketing of it, the propaganda, they're going to say the right thing. But what I've always liked about the 49ers being involved is that there's a sporting background there. There's evidence that they built an amazing ground for the 49ers. They've brought success there. I don't think they've won a Super Bowl, but they've been consistent and all like that. And I like the fact that there was a sporting entity that came into Leeds United. It's not, someone, just random investment firm or something. It's a proper sporting entity that are behind us, that's why the data is so important and all that kind of stuff. And it's exciting. If we stay up, because of the size of the club and the revenues we get already, we don't have to be Brentford. We don't have to be, Burnley when they've stayed up before. Leeds United are going to be able to push things a little bit more. Or that's the hope anyway. So potentially a really good future round the corner. We just got to survive. We've got to stay up.
I think a lot of Leeds fans are very, very harsh on the 49ers. Really over the top harsh. I think a lot of it comes from trepidation around previous ownership, and I get it. We've had GFH, we've had Krasner, we've had Bates, we've had Chelino. I mean, we have had some whoppers, haven't we? And I mean, Rads and Orta were the best that we've had up until before Ridsdale. Obviously Ridsdale as well, didn't even mention him, and how that went on. And Rads and Orta were batshit, weren't they, as well? Like, you know what I mean? So we have had some, the best thing and the only thing that they did really in their whole ownership would bring Marcelo Bielsa in, and Marcelo Bielsa changed everything. If we're honest, Rads and Orta would have probably left one day without Bielsa as a terrible ownership. They probably would have done it. Bielsa changed it all. So I understand the trepidation when it comes to ownership groups for Leeds United fans. But everything the 49ers have done, everything they've done has actually been nailed on. You can hardly pull them up for anything. People wanted to be really upset about the Red Bull sponsorship. Get to grips with the way that modern day football is, guys. It's not that bad. It's really not in comparison. Not if you want to be at the top table anyway. If you want to have, like Huddersfield have got some stupid buddy thing on the front of and linger in the bottom end of the championship with no finance is fine. You know what I mean? If you want to do it all ethically, I'd rather do it ethically, but that's not football. You know what I mean? You're talking about comparing with powerhouses of full nations in stuff like Newcastle. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So you have to just pick and choose your battles. Everything the 49ers have done, from bringing Daniel Farker in to taking over us when we had all that mess around with Rads, to the plans that they're doing with the stadium, pretty much every beat of the recruitment has been perfect. They've had to sell Archie Gray and Jorginho Rutter and Chris Somerville when we didn't get promoted. Again, that's as a byproduct of the mismanagement from Rads and Orta, not them. Every step that they've made so far, they have nailed it. Even down to this recruitment, they've been able to produce a really well put together Premier League squad from £100 million, which is nothing in modern day. Bear in mind, we have no sellable assets this summer. None. Zero. Yeah. So that I just think they get such a hard bargain where it comes, and a lot of it's down to the previous ownerships, but also the high expectations of the fans.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's absolutely bang on. And I think, people had question marks about the summer recruitment and all that, and you've got to look at it now. You look at business like James Justin and, unreal business. I mean, terrific business. I mean, the hit rate in the transfers is absolutely incredible. I mean, you start off, the first one under Farker was Ethan Ampadu. I mean, that just sets the bar. Yeah. Well, you can't get higher, can you? I mean, Ethan Ampadu, Leeds United. I mean, he, by the way, his impact at the weekend when he came out against Birmingham, I mean, incredible. Just what a presence for Leeds. It's phenomenal. But yeah, 49ers have got it so right. And it'll be interesting, if Rangers do win Scottish Premier as well. I mean, you've got to say it's an incredibly successful time for them. And, it's exciting. It's exciting. We should be excited rather than, we've got to be super cynical about it all the time because they're the owners and we see what other owners do. And look, there's going to be tough decisions. Probably some of our favourite players might have to be sold in the summer. Let's just not have a complete meltdown and, throw them in the fire. I mean, it's fascinating. You bang on about Rads and Orta as well, the fact that Bielsa basically saved their bacon. Now, listen, they had the foresight to hire him. Orta was crazy enough to want to do it and, suggest him, and Rads pulled it off. But you look at Orta since he left Leeds, I mean, he keeps getting sacked as director of football as another, the amount of fans that just want that guy out. I mean, it's incredible, really.
Ramazani got Sampdoria relegated as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure that some of it will have been from damage before him, like the 49ers kind of encountered from them. So, but you're right. You're absolutely right. I totally understand the trepidation when it comes to ownerships. But this ownership group haven't really given us much to be upset about. I think we want to be upset. I genuinely think we look for it at times as a fan base. So, I think I were really worried about the summer business as well. Yeah. But what we've come to see has been spot on. When some ownerships, and they're around us, Spurs, Forest, West Ham, they'd have bulleted Farker at the back end of the last year. They didn't. They stayed. They kept their composure. They kept their nerve. Because they recognise the fact that it was probably what was better for the long-term sustainability of this season. And they nailed it. Yeah. 2 losses in 14 as a recently promoted team. Yes, there's a lot of draws in there, but it's irrelevant because they're still picking up points. It's massive.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And I think if we get to the end of the season, we're still a Premier League team. I think fans generally, we've got to view this as being very successful so far. They've got us back up. I mean, don't make no mistake about it, it was a shit show when we got relegated. Yeah. I mean, it was an absolute bin fire. So full credit to them for steering us right. Okay, good stuff. Well, we're going to move on back to Premier League action. Guys, if you can smash a like on the video as well, that would be much appreciated. Aston Villa in the Premier League. Jay, it's back to reality, isn't it? A very, very tough team. 3rd in the league, Aston Villa. However, they have lost, I think, 3 out of the last 4 at home. So maybe some nugget of encouragement for Leeds at the weekend. I mean, Aston Villa, Unai Emery, he is their kind of Bielsa-esque figure, isn't he? I mean, he's gone in there. He's transformed them completely. There's a great article on The Athletic today talking about what he does, little tweaks tactically in games and, mix and matching against opponents. And, you're talking about an elite coach in Unai Emery. And it feels like all of Aston Villa's, hopes and dreams are pinned to that one guy. You do wonder if it suddenly kind of implodes, what would happen then, because who picks that slack up? But, kind of almost like I mentioned earlier, where I kind of, one day hope that Leeds can kind of replicate in some way, getting in the Champions League and all this excitement. But look, it's 11 versus 11. They have been a little bit less secure at home recently, a bit wobbly. Is there potential, Jay, for Leeds to go there and upset the apple cart?
Why not? I see it very similar to the Chelsea game, if I'm honest. I think it's a bit of a free hit. I'd take a point. seem to say that every week, but I'd snap your hand off at a point. I think, we're probably getting him at a bit of a good time. Yeah, form is a bit of a wobble, especially at home. He has done an unbelievable job there, Unai Emery. And I think, when you look at the churn of the squad, there's been none. They're still relying on the same faces. John McGinn, Tyrone Mings, Ollie Watkins, Emi Martinez, Matty Cash. The team just doesn't seem to change. It's the same year in, year out. You've added Morgan Rogers to it, but again, Morgan Rogers wasn't seen as this big ticket signing when they signed him. So yeah, it's a real interesting one, and fair play to him and fair play to them. But you look at them, they were a year ahead of us, and that's it. We could be that if we get the growth properly, if we get the progression properly. You know, they went up in the playoff final the year that we lost to Derby in the semi, the first season under Bielsa. They should have come straight back down. They were saved by a goal line technology. That's how goal line technology error. It was turned off. They should have gone down, right? But that to prove a point as to where we can be with steady progression, with the right changes in the manager at the right time and the right recruitment. You know, we can have that. But yeah, as for this game, mate, let's get into it. Let's see a good performance, hopefully. Better than the Chelsea first half, I hope, because we weren't very well. We were awful. Thankfully, we got a point out of it. A bit more like what we've seen. But I'd snap your hand off with a point. Now, there's a stat going around at the minute that we've not won in the last 10 away games, I think it is. But we've had 6 draws at that time.
Yeah.
6 draws and 4 losses off. It might be 11. I can't remember. It might be 11 games. There's 5 losses and 6 draws, something like that. And over the last 6, we've only lost 1, which were the Newcastle 4-3, which we probably deserve to win. So as away record and performances has improved dramatically. So I go into it with optimism, mate, and nothing to lose, really.
No. In terms of the team, Gabby, 120 minutes he clocked up at the weekend. It's like,
lad's mad, isn't it?
Bloody hell, get Byram on, where were you?
Just on that quickly, because there's been a lot go around about like the first team players needing to play. We didn't have a congestion of games.
No.
You know, they still had a long time. I know Gabby didn't, but the rest of them still had a long time where they weren't playing. It was a heavily rotated team. And players prefer to play football games. Yeah. They can get injured every day at training, guys. They go in, trust me, I've seen it. They send it in on one another in training as well. Injuries happen all the time, more in training than in games. Yeah. So don't look at like we've had 7 days in between games.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think there's anything to Gabby playing 120 minutes. I really don't. I think the guy's a machine. I think he'd have preferred it. He'd have had a nice day off on the Monday and he'd have been back in training on Tuesday for a massage and ready to go for Wednesday in full training. You know what I mean? So, like, I think footballers prefer to play football games, so they won't be narky about playing at the weekend.
No, that's it. And they seem like quite a robust bunch. In terms of the squad, generally, what do you think is going to do? The midfield's going to be a question as well, isn't it? Because I don't know about Stack. Obviously, I think we've got Farke's press conference will be happening tomorrow, so I guess we'll find out if Stack is back, because there's a little bit of an interesting debate there. Obviously, who do you pick for that midfield battle? Obviously, Ampadu, you know, not definite starter. Gruev's been absolutely fantastic recently. Stack obviously has missed a couple of games. You know, what's his fitness and his sharpness going to be like? You know, is it more of a sub role? It's going to be interesting. Okafor as well, but you know, is that a worry as well? Seeing Okafor, I know some people saying is it a hamstring or something like that, and you know, Okafor is one of those players, you know, like you said earlier, it's a mixture. It's a whole bunch of things with Okafor. But you need someone like him. He's clearly got that ability to get us up the pitch, drive, beat a man, create chaos, make things happen. And he seems to have gone up a little bit of a level as well. Does Okafor? He seems to have just kind of, you know, crept up a little bit. Obviously, DCL, if he's fit and firing, no brainer. Strike, another interesting one. Not sure if Strike's going to be fit. I mean, that's a fascinating one. If Strike is fit, you can have the three of Strike, Rudd, and Be-all again. But then James Justin, who's been absolutely magnificent as well. I mean, it's some options. You're not going to drop Bogle either, so it's interesting.
100%. I mean, I've just seen a Jayden Bogle interview talking about how much of a good impact James Justin's had on him. It shows you how they can be in direct competition for one another's position, but still getting on so well. I love the harmony within the squad, if I'm honest. I see a lot of it, like involvement in different things. Like, I don't know if you've seen this week that they've had the FIFA Pro player.
Yeah, that's really good. When he scores at the end and they go back.
I love all that kind of stuff because it just shows a real togetherness and a harmony within the team. I love the day in the life of that they do with I think it's Hisense that sponsor it, that, you know, different player all the time. It feels good. And competition for places is great as well. I think if Stack's fully fit, I think he'll come straight back in. I think it'll be Brendan alongside Calvert-Lewin, and it'll drop into that 5-4-1. I think you could maybe be even in a position where you see Justin and Bogle, but Bogle plays as the more attacking wide man. In that, I think there's a potential for that, because we've seen Jayden Bogle start occupying all sorts of different roles and positions within this system, and he's been playing as a second striker. And yeah, you can't drop Justin right now. Arguably, he's been our best player over the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's been brilliant. He's right up there anyway. But then if you have the opportunity to play Struijk, Be-all and Rodon, you play him, because they're fantastic centre-backs. So it's a great problem to have. And this is why the likes of Tanaka and Gnonto are so far away from starting first team football, because we have all the... Did James Justin need time? He's another one, right? James Justin has had injuries. He's had problems. He came in from Leicester on deadline day, or close to deadline day in the summer. You know, where was his grace period? He just came in and played. That's it.
Exactly.
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Even Bornau against Liverpool at Anfield came in for that game.
Exactly.
And was up to it.
It's a nonsense, mate. We need to stop it, because it just protects agendas and biases. I'm not saying don't support your players. I want our Tanaka, as an example, to do really, really good every time he plays, but he's not. That's just reality. So, yeah, some massive selection headaches. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin comes back in. If Okafor's not fully fit, you just keep him out of it. You don't need to be pushing his body. We know that he's had a little bit of issues as well. I think overall he's been fairly fit this season, really, but we'd rather keep him fit and raring to go for the games where he's probably going to have more of an impact.
Yeah, I agree. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Buonanotte not even make the bench, to be honest.
I don't think he'll make the bench.
No.
If James is fit, he definitely won't.
No. Weird one with James as well, is it? His back is gone, and it's just having one of those seasons, isn't he, the poor lad, where it's just not happening. It's so frustrating, isn't it? Off the back of a brilliant season in Championship last year. It's real shame for him.
The problem is for Dan James is he's got that kind of, because of the way that he plays, his speed, his rapid twitch, fast fibre motions and movements. Yeah. He's always going to have little knocks and sprains and tweaks in muscles. And when you're coming back from a pretty big injury, Pat used to talk about this a lot, like you find other things then have seized up and break down when you start moving again at pace. So it is a massive shame for him, and hopefully he comes back, and it'll be a funny one. I don't want to go on another tangent because I know we need to finish, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with Dan James in the summer, because he signs a new deal in the summer just gone, and then he's not played, and it kind of feels like this squad's going to progress on from him very quickly.
Yeah, that's one of those where you're looking at it going, because I don't know who's coming to sign 28-year-old Dan James, who's not played much. Yeah, not sure. Want to flash this graphic up as well before we go as well. You probably saw this doing the rounds on Twitter, but this is Premier League fixture difficulty for the remaining fixtures of the season. Apparently, West Ham United have got the hardest running, and then down at the bottom, Leeds United with the easiest, if you can call anything in the Premier League easy. But we know the games that Leeds have got coming up. You know, Brentford and Sunderland at home, and obviously Wolves, Burnley at home, and then West Ham, relegation rivals, already 6 points behind with tough fixtures. You're looking at Arsenal at home and Newcastle away and difficult ones like that. Then underneath, and then underneath that, you got Crystal Palace, who are right bang at it again as well. And looking at that, I mean, again, it points to the fact that it is only 6 points, but it does feel like it's there for us. It really, I mean, this is such an amazing opportunity to stay in the Premier League now.
Yeah, I mean, I were looking at it the other day, and the facts are we've got Burnley and Wolves both to come at home. I'm not saying it's a banker, because you're right, in the Premier League, no games are a banker, but at Ellen Road, with the crowd baying and the expectation and the quality difference between the two sides, you'd almost bank that them two are 6 points between them. That puts us on 36 before we even think about the other 10 games. Yeah, it feels, with the way that this season's gone up until this point, that it'd be almost impossible for us to not get another 6 points, which would put us on 42 out of 10 games. And I think we could be in a position where we get a lot more than that if we continue the way that, especially at home. So, I'm not worried. I'm really not. the weekend will come and we'll lose and West Ham will win and I'll be like, I've got to be stressing. But the reality doesn't feel like that. It feels like there's too much disarray going on at the other teams around us for us to really be panicking with the way that it's gone for us. We've put ourselves in a great spot.
Yeah, we really have. We really have. Jay, will you be around for a post-match on Saturday?
Yes.
Or?
All being well, I should be. Depends on Mrs. coming out of the hospital and stuff, but all being well, we'll just wait and see. But yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. Yeah, hopefully we'll be back post Aston Villa to give our thoughts there. So please do check that out. Do like the video if you've not done it already. Please subscribe to the channel as well. And if you're watching this again later, get your comments in as well. But thank you so much to everyone who's joined us this evening. Really enjoyed that. I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.